Hello, I'm Rick Pine. I'm a professor of geography at IUPUI. I'm also a former Peace Corps volunteer. I served in Brazil back in the 1960s. This began my career. Actually, this introduced me to academics, and I stayed with it all the rest of my life. And I went to Brazil and worked as an agricultural extensionist. Had a fabulous 2 years, and I learned Portuguese. I'm still fluent in it, and as I was there, I did a lot of moving around the village. I was totally immersed in the culture. There was no one to speak English with or anything. And where I was located was here in the state of Mato Grosso. It's a big state. It's now 2 states. They divided it, but it's an area there that's pretty remote. Brazilians called it Fim do Mundo, the end of the world. And while I was in the village there, I had this opportunity to do all kinds of traveling and whatever. But I got involved with some of their cultural traditions, and this was they creating their own cigarettes, and we called them Cigarro de Palha. Palha meaning a leaf, and they would take this tobacco, rope tobacco that they would harvest and roll it up into ropes and let it hang and cure for months and years even, and they'd take off about 3-4 inches and carry it in their pocket. When they wanted a cigarette, they would scrape a little bit off with their knife and fill up their palm of their hand. And then they would take this corn shuck, piece of corn shuck, they cut it in a little piece like that, and about that wide, they would put the tobacco in there, roll it up, and then lick it a little bit, seal it, and then bend over the ends so that they say it would stay solid. And this they'd smoke it. So of course, they could carry it around too for a while. They make several of them for the day, and they'd carry it around. When they got ready to smoke this thing, they would just stick it in their mouth and light it up. And it had this very strong odor. Of course, the corn shuck gave it a different whole flavor than what a regular cigarette would have. But people smoked those all. They were free, didn't cost any money, and so it was very, very prominent. Yeah. And I had tried them. Weren't particular. I was smoking at that time, regular cigarettes, but I tried them, and I thought, oh, this isn't for me. But I noticed in the little local buses that went back and forth to the city, came in twice a week, and they had sign up there, don't smoke these cigarettes in here. You can smoke the regular ones, but not those corn shuck cigarettes. And so, anyway, I had seen that so many times that I got kind of chuckled at it. Why would they let that one happen? And why wouldn't they want this one? And the other cigarettes are okay. But anyway, one time I got to know everybody. The bus driver knew me, and we told stories and whatever. And I did enough riding on his bus. And one time I was sitting halfway back in the bus behind most of the people, and I had one of these cigarettes, so I decided I was going to just play a prank here. And I lit one of them up and took a puff off of it, and then just held it down below the seat there. Actually, I put it out, and then the driver looked up in the mirror, and you could see somebody in the back. He was looking for who was smoking a cigarette like that. He didn't see anybody, but he had a guy that ran around and collected fares from people, and he rode the bus all the time, and he had him go back and look. He walked back in the back of the bus. He didn't see anybody. He returned. So we were going along, and another mile later, I lit it up again. This time, the eyes went back again. Where's this is happening? And, of course, I put it out again and hit it in under my leg. Anyway. He looked around. He started asking people, "Are you smoking this Cigarro de Palha?" And they said, "No." And he passed me and said, "Oh, this sophisticated American, he wouldn't do that sort of thing." So he went back, asked a few more people, and nobody fessed up. And so he went back to the front and says, "I don't know what's going on." And so another mile. So I did it again. I lit it up again. And this time he asked everybody again, and this time. He passed me up, but this time he came back and says, "Would you be smoking a Cigarro de Palha?" And I picked it up and handed it to him. And he cracked up. And then he took it back up to the front of the bus, and the bus driver, he also cracked up. they would. He had to stay on the road though. He couldn't laugh too hard. But then after that, they would always tease me if I had an extra one of those Cigarro de Palhas. Yeah, I need to show you something else, how these people lit these Cigarro de Palha, these corn husk cigarettes, and particularly when they don't have matches. They've been living out there in the bush all this time, and they make their own little fire to light it. They don't. Once they get it started, they might start it with a campfire, but you don't always have that. And so this is a little bag and these items in it. This old guy gave it to me. He said it came from his grandfather, and it's how he lit his cigarettes. So this is a caipira cigarette lighter. The caipira is the name for these backwoods country people. And so what they did was these are all things made from their resources. This is a tip of a horn of a cow. And inside of this, they put some charred cloth, partly burnt, so that if it got a spark on it, it would you could make it glow. And so basically, I'm going to just show you how they would do this. This is a flint and a steel. And they would bang this, bang it on here at some point, the steel, and they'd make a spark. And if you can see that, that spark, they try to catch it in this little horn. Might take a while, a few tries, and then blow on it, get the ember going, and then they're ready to stick their cigarette in there and light it up.